traders, Raghee here, and in this update we're going to talk about crude oil and where crude is now and how I'm doing with the current open position. So I think it's really important when we have the chance to talk about a trade that's either taking on water, has an unrealized loss, is going beyond levels that we were expecting it to go, and is generally not doing what it is that I want it to do. How do we handle that? And that's what today's video is going to be all about. So let's actually go through a couple things about crude oil. So first of all, it is not a trending market. So this type of yellow market is going to be the minority of what I typically have in my book of trades. Less than 25% of my book is allowed to be, doesn't have to be, but it's allowed to be non-trending markets. I know that if I start exceeding open trades that are in yellow, firmly choppy sideways markets, if I have more than 25% of my open trades in this type of environment, I'm losing sight of what helps me make the most high probability trades. The second thing is crude oil is a market that has a pretty good support zone. So let's talk about the support zones, because a couple of them have broken and we are below the Darvis level, the Darvis support. We broke that here today. A lot of things melted down post the FOMC meeting minutes, and crude oil, much like we saw in the broader averages, which I'll talk about in the premium video, headed lower. Is this necessarily bad? Well, remember, movement lower in choppy markets is distinctly different than movement lower in trending markets. I like what it did to the S&P, right? In crude, it's a different narrative. So movement lower, what differentiates a pullback from a sell-off? What differentiates a retracement from a reversal? Well, first of all, the main thing is the underlying trend, right? That's the main thing. This is yellow, while the chart I just showed you of the S&P is double green. All right, the chart of the Nasdaq it went yellow as of today, but it's still mostly double green. This is not a market I will short. I just know that it's under the trend is under some pressure. Okay, so back to crude. Now, I think there is this notion, and I kind of get salty when I hear the word because I usually know why it's being used. Add. I never want to add to a trade. And let me tell you what that means to me. And if you use that verbiage, that's fine, but let me tell you what that means to me. When I send out an alert on any trade, whether it's futures, whether it's the ETF, what have you, I'm always going to remember that before I even set up the first order to enter, I'm going to have already predetermined 3 levels usually that I'm willing to buy at. This was the setup for crude. So take a quick look at this if you want to pause the video to see what the setup was. So notice this is a crude oil trade. Now, I was using the September quote, and really I should be using really October or September. There's still plenty of volume in September, but the open interest is really happening in October. But I don't mind looking at the September quote to set up the October 15 USO 45 call. So yes, we've talked about this before, using the underlying futures to trigger the ETF alternative of that futures contract, okay? So I don't want to confuse you. I'm not really entering October or September crude oil futures, the CL or the micro or even the mini. I'm using that quote in crude, September, to enter the October 15 expiry for the USO ETF. Now, I do like, because we have a number of members who do trade futures as well as ETFs, if you're trading the underlying futures, you do need a price-based stop. If you're playing the ETF, we have a percentage-based stop. So that is going to be part of the difference of the way that you manage this. Now, where are we now in crude? We're actually heading down towards the first of the year anchored VWAP. What I want to see tomorrow, so let's talk about strategically what I'm going to be looking for. I want to see either a minor low, tag that VWAP, or I want to see an inside candle, inside day. One of those two. inside candle or minor low, and that will help us set up going into the weekend whether or not crude has sold off, hit a level where there are some buyers, where there are some bids, or whether this is just going to continue to melt down and we just take the paper cut and cut it loose. All right, so that's what's on the agenda for crude. I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next update. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.